Queen Elizabeth II, the 21st of April 1926 to the 8th of September 2022. Queen Elizabeth II, the UK's longest-serving monarch, died at Balmoral aged 96, after reigning for 70 years. The Queen was born Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor, in Mayfair, London, on the 21st of April 1926. At age 10, Lilibet, as she was known in the family, became heir to the throne. Her reign spanned 15 prime ministers starting with Winston Churchill and including Liz Truss. London Bridge is down, is the official code name to refer to the death of the Queen, which has been in planning for years gone by. The carefully choreographed plans include Operation Unicorn, which is the contingency plan due to the Queen dying in Scotland. 10 days of events after Queen Elizabeth II dies. D+0 Friday the 9th of September, Charles and Camilla will arrive in London to hold his first audience with the Prime Minister, Liz Truss. A televised address pre-recorded earlier in the day will be made to the nation and the Commonwealth. The government will attend a public service of remembrance at St Paul's Cathedral. The royal mourning will last until 7 days after the funeral, which will be held on Monday the 19th of September, which will be a public holiday and a day of national mourning. D+1 Saturday the 10th of September, the Accession Council meets to proclaim Charles as the new sovereign. The Privy Council proclaims him the new monarch. The King holds his first Privy Council and makes his personal declaration and oath. D+2 Sunday the 11th of September, proclamations in Edinburgh, Cardiff and Belfast, the devolved nations, will be made simultaneously. The Queen's coffin will be driven from Balmoral Castle to Edinburgh and will rest there until Monday afternoon. D+3 Monday the 12th of September, the King and Queen Consort will meet Commons and Lords who will express their condolences. The King will fly to Edinburgh, where the King will inspect the Guard of Honour. A ceremony of the keys on the forecourt. The King will then attend a service of prayer and reflection for the life of the Queen Elizabeth II. There, the King will have an audience with the ministers. Charles and Camilla will then attend the Scottish Parliament to receive a motion of condolence. Her Majesty's coffin will lie at rest in St Giles's Cathedral, guarded by vigil from the Royal Company of Archers, to allow people to pay their respects. The King and members of the royal family will take part in the procession on the forecourt of the Palace of Holyrood House to convey the coffin to St Giles's Cathedral. That evening, the King will hold a vigil with members of the royal family at the cathedral. D+4 Tuesday the 13th of September, Princess Anne will accompany the Queen's coffin as it is flown to London by the RAF. It will arrive at RAF Northolt, where it will then be driven to Buckingham Palace, where her coffin will rest in the Bow Room. The King and Queen Consort will fly to Belfast, where they will visit Hillsborough Castle, Northern Ireland. Charles will meet the Secretary of State to receive a message of condolence led by the Speaker of the Assembly. The King and Queen Consort will travel to St Anne's Cathedral for a service of prayer and reflection. The pair will then head back to London. D+5 Wednesday the 14th of September, the first big ceremonial in London. Queen's coffin is borne on a gun carriage from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall for her lying in state. Charles will lead the procession, which will travel via Queen's Gardens, the Mall, Horse Guards and Horse Guards Arch, Whitehall, Parliament Street, Parliament Square and New Palace Yard. A short service conducted by the Archbishop of Canterbury is expected to be attended by the royal family members. The lying in state begins, hundreds of thousands of people expected to visit the coffin to pay respects over the next 5 until the day of the funeral. At some stage, senior members of the royal family are expected to stand guard around the coffin, the tradition known as the Vigil of the Princes. D+6 Thursday the 15th of September, D+7 Friday the 16th of September, and D+8 Saturday the 17th of September. The Queen's lying in state continues, and is expected to end on the morning of her funeral. The King continues with visits and meetings in the UK nations. D+9 Sunday the 18th of September, heads of state and members of foreign royal families are expected to start arriving in London for the state funeral. D+10 Monday the 19th of September, the Queen's funeral will take place at Westminster Abbey. Her coffin will be taken in a procession from Westminster Palace to Westminster Abbey, with members of her family processing on foot behind. The service will be televised, and a national 2 minutes of silence held. After the funeral, The Queen's coffin will travel in procession from Westminster Abbey to Wellington Arch and to Windsor Castle. The coffin will be lowered into the royal vault, and her final resting place will be the King George VI Memorial Chapel at St George's Chapel, Windsor. A private burial service will be attended by members of the royal family.